So 31, so just a few more minutes.
Sir,
Yeah.
can I ask in the middle of waiting?
Yeah, sure. While we wait for the rest.
Sir, you emphasize a lot about the naturally occurring interaction.
It's not
so,
me who emphasized
like,
that, it's CA who emphasized that.
Okay, so what about Papa teach me? I think where is the naturalness of the recorded teaching? Because it is recorded, right?
It is
It is
recorded.
like well planned.
But what makes you think that it is not natural?
Because like you know, okay, at some point you have to be Papa, and then at some point you will have to change your character, and then back to Papa. So the naturalness is like there is okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I understand your point, because okay, let's say for example when he puts himself in a situation, like for example when he puts himself in a situation having interaction with, like for example, mama, and then maybe baby teach me something like that, right? For example, so this is, maybe we can use this as an argument that is not natural, but we can still say that this is natural, because do you think that what he said in that particular video, even though he specifies the characters, do you think that he has it scripted? That you think that he has scripts?
Maybe.
Do you think that
okay, I'm not really sure.
do you think what he said in that particular video, even though you have the character, like for example, okay, now I'm gonna be Papa, and then after that I'm gonna be Mama, and then okay, after my first Papa, I'm gonna say how are you, and then when I become Mama, immediately I will have to say I'm fine, something like that. But I personally believe that even though he has this kind of concept to carry out the interactions, but I believe that he does not have script to guide the interactions. Meaning he has the earlier concept, he has this pre-existing concept, and later on he simply carry on with the interactions naturally. So that's why I said it is natural interactions. I don't know whether you agree with me or not. Fine.
Okay, sir. Satisfied.
Okay, thank you
sir.
problem. Okay, we will proceed. So I'm going to show you, this is a sample of interaction. This is a sample of transcription here. Okay, so you have the line number, you have the acronyms of the participants, and then you have the transcriptions of the utterance. So like for example here, and then you have the degree mark here, like for example, my name, okay, and then you have the descriptions of what is happening in the interactions. For example, when Aiman or Anik here says that my name, and then at the same time he maintains his case at mother. So this kind of things that you have to describe in the interactions. Okay, and then why this one is spelled with all capital letter, and why suddenly the rest is not. Also, there is the need for us to refer to the notation system to understand what is the meaning behind this. Like for example, here in line 5 and 6, so here Anik, Aiman, Bin, and suddenly you have this kind of like what do you call this, bracket, and then line number 6 starts under the same bracket. So what is going on here? So this is an example, example of overlap speech. Okay, for example, Aiman is still talking here, Anik is still talking here, but at the end, towards the end, mother also stays, then cause these kind of things to overlap. So this is the example of the detailed transcriptions that we have to do. And what is the meaning of 0.1 here? Meaning that after line number 8, after mother's turn, no one is speaking here. So it causes short pause here before mother continues, all these kind of things. So this is an example of things that you have to do in terms of transcriptions. Any questions based on these transcriptions that you see now?
Sir,
Yeah.
is it necessary for us as researcher to use this format of or this structure of this transcription, or we can like do our own structure?
You mean your own system to transcribe?
Yes.
If you ask that questions, because you said just now you are, if we are the researcher to use our own transcription system, then people will question the validity of your transcriptions. Who said that the way your transcriptions is like correct? Because this is based on your own perceptions. There is no standardized system that can guide your transcription, so it's not valid. People can question the validity of your transcription because it's just based on you. no one else is using that, all these kind of things. And this one is following the Jefferson's, which has been used since 2004. And this kind of system has been considered as the most comprehensive one because it includes almost everything that happen in the interactions. As you can see here, why, like in line 10, why suddenly the mother is covered with these two brackets, this kind of things has meanings based on the system that you can have. Based on, going back to your questions, there are other researchers that develop their own system, but the system is not really widely accepted because, you know, it lacks of comprehensivity. It does not really give you the real representations of interactions in the written format. So that's why Jefferson is the much more preferred one. Okay.
So
Right.
if it is like we record the action of the respondents also, right? So we need to insert the action like I need maintains, I need slightly
Yes.
gaze.
Yes. In fact, when you want to show that this is what I found, in addition to this abstract, you also have to show a screenshot of the recording, like to show that, okay, at this particular time, Anik gazed away, for example. And then in addition to that, you can also strengthen your findings by saying that, okay, this is a screenshot. He is gazing away from the mother. So that is the kind of things that we show to increase the reliability of CA's findings. Okay,
Got it.
Any other questions? No? But if no, then proceed. Next one, after you have finished transcribing, then you have to analyze. Analysis will begin with an observation on something that you found in the data. So you have this kind of data, this is your data. Then you have to analyze the data. And then what do you see here? So you have to go back. So in order for you to know what you want to see, then you have to keep on going back and forth. So you have to keep on reading your data, you know, many times in order for you to see that. So you will not see something in your data if you just simply go through once. You have to go through many times. And what is something here? This is what we call the salient features. So the salient features in the interactions, meaning the key features or the interesting feature that you want to highlight in the interactions. So the analysis is participant oriented. So what analyst sees in interaction without modifications or prejudgment, meaning that we don't know what we want to see. So it's based on the data that will inform us the salient feature. So CA calls this as unmotivated looking because we go to the data not knowing what we want to do. So we don't have any specific motivations or we don't have any specific objective. So that's why CA calls unmotivated looking because again, it is inductive. We don't have any prejudgment or we don't have any idea what we are looking until we found something, which is the salient feature. Okay, so but again, for novice researcher, like for example, someone who started doing CA, then of course you don't know what am I doing, and you ask me not to do, you ask me not to have any idea, you ask me to go and decode, and then suddenly you ask me to analyze something that I don't have any idea. So what do you want me to do actually? So based on this kind of thing, CA proposes three key principles. So we have talked about this: the turn taking, the adjacency pair, and also the repair. So if you don't have any idea, you can start looking through by looking at turn taking. For example, if you have this kind of data, you can start looking at how mother construct her turn construction unit, for example. You can see here, like for example, line 1 until 11, you can see mother asks a lot of questions. So questions number 4 is mother's questions. Turn number 2 is mother's questions. Turn number 10 is mother's questions, all these kind of things. So you can this is one thing that you can see. So for example, you can start to see that the salient feature in interaction between mother and son is mother asks a lot of questions. So son will just have to answer. So this is the salient feature that you see in interaction. So you can start by looking at the turn taking. So you can start to see something like that. Or you can start to see any instance of repair. You know, if there is a breakdown, then how do they strategize to repair? So analysis can begin from that particular point. For example, in classroom, I did this one I just created. For example, in classroom, for example, when teacher asks questions, and then the student answer the teacher's questions, and after the students answering the teacher's questions, then the teacher will repeat the student's answer. So maybe this is a salient feature that you found in interaction between teacher and student. For example, teacher always repeats student's answer after he asks questions. Why teacher repeats my answer? So you want to know that kind of thing. So this is the kind of things that you can see in the analysis. So at the data analysis stage, you can just number one, build a collection of case, meaning that you identify the salient feature. So in order for the salient feature to be a salient feature, it must happen regularly. It must be. What's wrong? Okay. So in order for the salient feature to be a salient feature, it must be recurring. Recurring means it must be repeating. For example, I want to see in this data, when it comes to interaction between mother and son, then mother always asks questions. Then I want to show evidence. Okay, line number 2, mother's questions. So this is one salient feature. This is one question set identified. Then I see again line number 4, mother's questions again. And then I see another line number 10, mother's questions again. And then I see line number 2, number 4, number... Apa tu,
Tahu kau balik kerja buat penat. Bawa letih.
Apa ni? Fatimah. Okay. Okay, so I see questions from mother. So I see this is something. So I decide that this is a salient feature in interaction between mother and sons because mother always asks questions. So question by mother is a salient feature based on it's being recurring. It recurs in line number 2, it recurs in line number 10, it recurs in line number 4. So it happens many times. So you can see that this is a salient feature because it happens recurringly. Okay, so it's recurring. Okay, if it's not recurring, then it is not a salient feature because it just happened probably 1 time or 2 times. This is not enough for you to say that this is the case that you are looking at. And after that, you analyze the linguistic element. You can see the lexical grammar, you can see the students' one-word TCU, for example, you can see the strategies for them to conduct repair. For example, you want to see the eye gaze when they ask questions, all these kind of things. So you start to look into this kind of linguistic element. And after that, after you have decided that this is what you want to do, then you say that, okay, I will identify several extracts, and then I cut off from the overall interactions to highlight what you found. So this is the reporting the findings later on. So this is the kind of things that you do in analysis. Any questions? All right, if there is no questions, then last one is to report the findings. So finally, report the findings. So reporting requires you to elaborate the extract by highlighting the salient features, for example. So since CA is predominantly qualitative, so you don't have to do any statistical analysis, but you can also do that if you want to show that the frequency count, if you want to show the frequency level. For example, you want to see the interaction between mother and son. The questions by mother is the most kind of turns in mother's turns. So you want to see that and you do the counting. So you see that of all the mother's turn, 90% consists of questions by mother. So you can see that these kind of things. And then you start to show the evidence. Like for example, this kind of extract here. So you can see teacher and students. Teacher Anna, can you tell me where is the basket? And then Anna, and then teacher asks, what about you? So this is the kind of things that we can say that, okay, teacher's strategy to allocate turn is by calling specific student's name. So you can see here, he calls Anna, he calls Rashid, he calls Fatima. So you can see that this is a salient feature in teacher-student interaction, all this kind of thing. So this is the salient feature in this particular short extract. Okay. Any questions on what you have to do?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah. Okay, tak apa. You will have more questions once you be in the process. All right, so advantages and disadvantages of CA. So compared to other approaches where you call that as hypothetical deductive method, meaning that you have hypotheses, and based on hypothesis, you know that this is the objective. So this is not common in CA because CA does not. CA is inductive. And then another thing is CA begins with what participants do in the interaction with researcher has no control. So there is no biasness. If you want to say that the researcher is biased because the researcher has prejudgment. No, in this case, no. But the disadvantages of CA, you need to record them. So if you record the interactions, then participant might not be at the most natural state of interactions. Even if you say that this is natural, but you don't know that because you put a camera. So when you have the camera, then it's difficult for us to have a like usual conversations. Okay. And then there's no proper experiment because you just go to the participant and ask them to interact, and then it's not really a standardized experiment. And then, of course, when you do the transcriptions, when you do the analysis to look for the salient features of these kind of things, it requires someone with experience on CA to do the reliability and validity check, because maybe when you do it alone, then you just, what you say as a salient feature is not a salient feature, so it's wrong. Okay. All right, so what CA can offer to language learning? Number one, because CA has its attentions to details, like, look into the micro elements in the classroom interactions. So maybe what we can do is to develop a proper learning materials that capture the real life situations. These kind of things I can say very much clearly, and I agree with these kind of things, and to say that, if you look at English textbooks, for example, and then if you have a sample of conversation in English textbooks, then we can say that the English textbooks what we found in the English textbook is not the real imitations of what is happening in a real life situation. For example, even if you have a question like how are you, and then if you go to English classroom, and then if you go to the textbooks, then you can see how are you is always responded with I am fine, thank you. But if you go to a real life situation, and then suddenly you have a native speaker and then you speak how are you, and then you don't know what to answer, and then he answer I'm okay, thank you, dear, something like that. And then you started to like, what is he saying? That it's not a reflection of what I studied based on the materials that we have. So what we can see that the learning materials that we found in textbooks is not a real representations of what is going on in real life. Okay, for example, in UK, if I'm not mistaken, that they always use this kind of term of address, dear, right? For example, hi dear, how are you? Are you okay, dear? Something like that, right? Or dear, all these things. But when we look into a textbook, then it's a much more standard versions like how are you? I'm fine. So it is too conflicting there. Okay, number two, assessment of speaking tasks can benefit from CA, because especially when you ask the students to do a presentations, for example, and then one of the criteria in the assessment checklist is that the students must be fluent. So in order for you to see that whether the student is fluent or not, by looking at whether he stutters a lot or not, whether there's a mistake in a pronunciation or not, all these kind of things. But according to CA, this fluency is just not based on that, because sometimes when you stutter, it is not a marker of a student's fluency. Maybe it's a marker of something else. So it is not necessary for you, when you mispronounce a word, it is not necessary for you to claim that you are not fluent. Maybe it is an indication for other discourse functions. So that's why we can do. So maybe based on CA, we can maybe we can modify we can prepare a much better speaking assessment checklist. Next one, based on CA also, because you record classroom discourse interactions, then maybe teachers, especially new teachers or teachers at training level, maybe they can they can see some of the strategies that all these teachers are using to interact with students, or how do you conduct language classrooms. So maybe these kind of things can inform on strategies for teachers to carry out the interactions with students, or to conduct the language classroom, see what should I do first, what should I do after that, all these kind of things towards the end. Okay, and of course number 4 is to understand the social practices in classroom, and also understanding the learners' identities. For example, if you collect data in classroom in Malaysia compared to classroom in Japan, compared to classroom in America, you will see that this kind of learners would have a different kinds of style, because they have a different kind of different identities. Okay. All right. So, any questions?
No.
No questions. If there is no questions, then